Beautiful day out here. There's this Sock Mountain. Taking my little morning stroll. It's all grow trees up here. Just thought I'd give everybody a beautiful view of nature. Anybody that isn't able to get out, I'd like to share this with you. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and so today I just decided to record my little jog out here. And I wanted to talk about yesterday. I went to the doctor, and generally my doctor is pretty kind to me. I go to a clinic, and but I was wearing some noise canceling headphones and my dark sunglasses, so I wasn't having to deal with the fluorescent lights. And she came in and she just what is she? She got really upset that I was wearing sunglasses. Like, why are you wearing those sunglasses? But before that, she was asking me if it was okay if, rather than taking notes, the pen and paper, she could just use some kind of app off her phone. And then she started on me about wearing the sunglasses. And I tried to explain to her that the lights were, the lights in the exam room were really bright and it bothered me. And mind you, by this time, she knows I'm diagnosed with autism and ADHD. And I don't know, it just kind of set me off in a bad way, because she was like literally demanding that I answer her question about whether or not she could use this app. And a part of me was like, well, do I really want my voice on some odd app out there in the middle of nowhere? And here I am, like, recording this for YouTube. But my autistic brain takes a little while to process stuff. And anyway, yeah, she starts in on me, looking at my chart, looking at stuff. I was supposed to go and have a procedure done, and I didn't want to do it locally. I wanted to do it with somebody that I'd already touched bases with, because I felt some familiarity with this other particular doctor, and she was getting really angry at me. Did you get this procedure done? Did you get this procedure done? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to explain to her, no, I didn't. And then I asked her if the situation had gotten worse. And she's like, don't interrupt me. And I'm thinking, wow, we're getting off to a good start. And so, yeah, I'm starting to feel really stressed out. And normally she's really slower. She's a lot slower, and she seems to be a little bit kinder. Maybe she's having a bad day. That's possible. People have bad days. And anyway, I try to make the best of it. On a good note, my blood pressure's good. She tested like kidney function, all these, liver's good. Blood sugar, she said, went down. So, but it turns out she started saying that she tested me for allergies, because I've been asking to be tested for allergies for a decade. And so that's pretty frustrating. And then she's like, I referred you to an allergist. And I'm like, yeah, well, they don't take my insurance, or they don't have any openings. I forget. It's one or the other. And so, yeah, it was just really sad. It was really stressful for me. And I ended up texting my therapist at the same time, telling her what was going on. And she's ADHD. And she was like, good job for, wearing, or, accommodating yourself. That wasn't her words, but good for you that you were trying to make yourself comfortable at a appointment. And anyway, it's very frustrating. But I tried to and then I started getting really sweaty because it closed the door to the room and it was starting to feel really suffocating in there. And so I cracked the door a little bit, or actually I think I opened the door. I often do that when I go to the doctor's because I just, there's another bit to all that, but I'm not ready to share that. But anyway, so then I remembered when I got my first initial assessment, the PhD that did that assessment, I think it was her or maybe it was my therapist, let me know about this thing called the double empathy problem with, I think it might have been my therapist. I got turned on to this therapist after my assessment. I guess her and my therapist went to a clinic together. And so she said, I want to introduce you to, and she's just been there for me. I had a really bad moment where I tried to commit suicide recently, and she was there for me. And I'm really grateful that she has given me a number. I'm sure it's not her personal number, but she's given me a number so that if I have I got a slipped shoe here. So that if I ever have any problems, I can text her. It's really kind of interesting. There's only been one time where I texted her where I didn't hear back from her. Oh, shame on her for having a life, right? But she did say it was kind of ironic that, here we go, we've got salmon of the Skagit River. Salmon habitat. Cold, clean, clear, consistent water. Shade from the trees. And the salmon life cycle. Isn't that cool? It's beautiful to get out in nature. I think a lot of us autistic people really just love nature. I've seen a cougar on this trail. I've seen a bear on this trail. Funny story about the bear. I was walking with a friend. You can see I carry my bear spray with me. My sons said, put it right here. I love my boys. They said, put it right here on your chest, Mom, so you don't have any problem getting to it. But anyway, I really wanted to just document my little jogs. I don't run. I started jogging about a year or so ago. And a Japanese physiologist talked about how it activates slow twitch muscles, and there's a whole thing behind all that I don't really want to go into. I'm gonna loop back to the whole going to doctors and how much fun that is. But anyway, yeah. Generally, this doctor is just really great. She's been really trying to help me get better sleep and all kinds of fun stuff. But yesterday, she was off her game. And she's like, well, you can get another doctor. And I was just like, wow, how did it get to that? It was shocking. And then she's like, I'm gonna leave now. I'm gonna leave now. And I go, no, you don't have to leave. I'm just, doing my best to try to communicate with her. And she's like, nope, I'm gonna leave. And then she's gonna bring somebody else in there. And I'm going, well, maybe she's gonna bring some kind of neurodivergent counselor in or something. But it also just made me feel nervous. So anyway, this is the bench where I do let's see if I can set this up so you can watch the river. Oh, I can't Anyway, there's the river. There's the beautiful Skagit River. And I'm just going to set you somewhere. I don't know how I can do this. I'm going to have to just hold it while I do my push-ups. 1, 2, 3. This might be kind of boring. I don't know if anybody would be interested in seeing. I thought it might be fun to document the changing of the seasons. It's a beautiful river here. I just think about all the lovely people that may be in a city. Maybe you're in a wheelchair and you can't get out. I just thought it would be really sweet if I could show people this beautiful trail that I go on. Anyway, we'll see if anybody wants to listen to me yak and check out the changing of the seasons. Here's our beautiful river again. This is actually the confluence of the Sauk and the Seattle River. Right in that actual area right there, the native people had a longhouse, I was told. And there's lots of history here. Lots of history in this whole country. The native people. And that's a whole topic in itself. But this is about a mile loop. So I like to try and get a couple miles or more every so often. But yeah, I was pretty sad about how the dog was treating me yesterday. So eventually she brings this other nurse in there. Maybe it's just like the whole bedside manner is not very good. I don't know. And she realized it. But it felt a little bit intimidating. Now I've got 2 people literally just staring at me like I'm some kind of criminal, you know, because I'm trying to, you know, explain things. And then she eventually at one point told me to just shut up and let her talk. She literally just said that. Just shut up and let me talk, and then you can talk. And I'm just like, whew. And then at one point I'm like, she was like just going on, and I'm like, okay, can I say something now? And oh, and she's like, well, not yet. I'm just about done. And because she was talking about that she gave me a referral to an allergist, and I wanted to say, well, yeah, that didn't work out. But so, and I was also probably because of the ADHD, I was afraid that I would forget to say that to her because it seemed like it was important information. Turns out she did some blood tests, and I know sometimes these blood tests can be inaccurate, but basically she said that I'm allergic to bananas, apples, cacao, wheat, beef, which I eat, primarily I eat a lot of beef, and see what else, I forget, oh, egg whites, and I eat a lot of eggs, so there's that. And I guess as autistic people we do tend to kind of eat the same thing. I'll be happy to eat the same thing every day actually, but anyway, sometimes those tests I think can be false positive, I read. But so yeah, you know, you got these questionnaires, you know, are you depressed? As I'm filling out these forms, I'm thinking, you know, I'm autistic, I'm ADHD, I'm always depressed. Life isn't built for us, you know. I've been basically underemployed my whole life, trying to navigate the work world, live my life, you know, basically underemployed, and try to raise children with marginal income. And I'm hearing something. Do you hear that? I like to be kind of loud when I go around corners because I have run into bears around corners. So I will talk louder right now, be really loud, and look both ways before I start moving on this upper path. And this path is kind of beautiful because it skirts a big state park. These are old growth maple, but it skirts a state park that has some old growth cedar. And they're not as epic as your coast redwoods or giant sequoias, but this whole area used to be all old growth cedar before, I guess as the natives would call it, colonization. If you can imagine it, from the mountains all the way to the Seattle was all old growth cedar. But what I'm running on right now is an old railroad grade, and once in a while you can actually find some of the old tracks. Not tracks, but what are those cross ties there? I think it's that one. But yeah, I just run in like river shoes. I find them, they allow my feet to stretch out, and I just really like the way they feel. I think autistic people, we do like our particular footwear to be comfortable. I mean, everybody does basically, no matter what your neurotype. But anyway, they did a big restoration project down here. There used to be a creek that went right along here. And, well, it's still kind of, it was actually kind of a bog, but they diverted a creek. There's a lot of money they spent to return a creek to its original alluvial, they call it alluvial fan. So, these shoes I think are getting a little bit done. They don't want to stay on me. Anyway, yeah, the doctor. We'll get back to my doctor thing. And yeah, I told her, I said, I've never really had an eye exam. I don't really know how to navigate that. I don't think the doctors really do your eye exam. And so they referred me to somebody for an eye exam. And yeah, I was texting my therapist while I was in there saying, yeah, my doctor just, it was a little bit stressful. And I just love my therapist because there's just something about her that helps me feel calmer. And, maybe it's just because, it's the first time in my life that I just have somebody that knows more about me than just about anybody. And she's literally helped me through some really dark times. And I think finding a good therapist is, I've tried over the years, but, not even knowing that I was neurodivergent, I think it affects it because even this doctor, she was like, oh, you haven't gone to psychologists. You haven't gone to psychologists. I don't know what her ethnicity is, but sometimes it's really hard for me to understand what she's saying. One time I even asked her, oh, what was that word you said? Because it sounded like two different words. And she's just like, she wasn't wanting to like, she just went bruised right over it. Like, I'm not going to tell you what it was. You should already know, lady. I'm just like, well, literally, English is not your first language. I do not know what her, like I said, I don't know what her ethnicity, or her, what would you call it, native language? Her first language. But, so, and yeah, she's telling me I'm allergic to beef. And it's kind of weird because she'll say stuff like, well, I can't eat beef because I break out or I do something like that. And I'm just like, well, that's you. That's not me. And it's just really awkward because I'm like, what does that have to do with me? It's like, well, maybe that's your experience, but I don't necessarily break out when I eat beef. So maybe there's some other thing going on. But anyway, so I got another referral to a different allergist. And hopefully we'll take my insurance. And hey, it took a decade, but I'm finally getting to an allergist. It wasn't for a lack of trying. I was talking to my son, actually texting my son last night about how wonderful our healthcare is in America. Check this out. Isn't that gorgeous? How about that? First thing in the morning. Beautiful, beautiful tree. Bringing its beautiful love to the world. Check that out. I don't know if you can see that moss very well, but so beautiful. Anyway, I'm gonna stop complaining. I mean, I got out of there. I got some referrals, and I'm going to try and figure out what I'm gonna do. Because she kept saying, "Oh, you find another doctor. You find another doctor." Like that, and I'm just like, well, no, I don't want to go to another doctor. I've been going to you for a long time. I'm just hoping that, she's at a clinic. She has to see a lot of different people. But one thing, actually, I will bitch about this one more thing, and hopefully I won't bitch about anything else. And that was, she was standing there with this nurse, and she was saying, but then at that point, I don't think she was recording this anymore. And she goes, I work with children with autism. I work with older people with middle with autism and geriatric with autism. I know autism. And I'm just like, did I really need that lecture? Because I never said anything. But while she was, kind of complaining to me and doing all this stuff, and that's crazy questionnaires that you always get, oh, are you depressed? Very much so, not very much so, yes, very much so. I wrote at the bottom, sometimes I pull these twigs off of the trail. When the guys come here to mow, they don't hit these big limbs that came down. Anyway, yeah. I think, I wrote down on the little questionnaire at the bottom, I wrote the double empathy problem between patients and doctors. And before she left, I gave her the last form that I was supposed to fill out. I forget what it was about. It was an ADHD question, like, are you fidgety? Do you have a trouble sitting still? I'm just like, what is this for the Ritalin? Is this the Ritalin test? We get a certain number of this, they're going to jack us up on Ritalin or some kind of med. Anyway, I wrote down double empathy problem patients and doctors, and I thought, she needs to maybe read up about this, because I think doctors need to meet us at least halfway. It's abusive. Otherwise, it's straight up abuse. And a lot of people are like, oh, you say everything's abusive. You know what? This world is kind of cruel. And there are a lot of things that are straight up abusive for autistic people. If the world was more accepting and cared, I think about how before sign language, what it must have been like for people who sign, like being able to communicate with other people would have been very challenging. Maybe your own family would have understood what you were trying to communicate, but anyway, look at those beautiful birds. I have these giant cottonwoods here. I hope that I'm a good camera person. Anyway, I don't know. I think usually about 30 minutes. Very slow, but especially when I haven't been out for a while, I'm even slower. But I don't really care. I'm not racing anybody. I really just do it for myself. Just feels good. Anyway, that's my loop. That's one loop today. I'm gonna head on my second one, and hopefully I will have more videos to come.